Hello, welcome back to another breaking news update. My name is Jimmy Boyd, and you were watching Boyd News. I want to thank you so much for tuning in today. I've got some breaking news coming out from Europe that I want to share with you. We're going to be talking about sabotage, okay? Because we just discussed this a few days ago in France. Right at the start of the Olympics, there was a massive sabotage attack on the railway system. There was railway cables that were cut, they were burned. There was fires being started on tracks, and it was basically to disrupt all of the railway trains to transport people to the Paris Olympics. So I reported on that just a few days ago. Now we've got this report today that again in France that a group of saboteurs cut French phone lines overnight. Okay, so even their communications is starting to go down. There is massive and massive amounts of attacks happening in France over and over repeatedly. Even this photo just came out just the other day. There was a complete blackout in Paris, okay, and all the lights went out. And if you can see, the lights were still on that little circle there. There's a church in the back there that was still on, okay? The lights were still on there at that church, but everywhere else the power went out. So some people are stating, if you're very religious, some people were saying that this was basically God responding to there was a mockery that was made of the Last Supper of Jesus, and there's a picture that's pretty much all over social media talking about that. And some there was like a drag show basically of some people that were dressed up and kind of mocking it. So some people are stating, if they're religious, that maybe this was God that was doing this. But that's just what some people are saying. But definitely still very strange nonetheless that we're seeing France being hit by all of these sabotage attacks. But obviously, a lot of this has to do with the Olympics. France came out and warned about this prior to the Olympics even beginning, that they were preparing for many sabotage attacks and disruptions during the Olympics. And the Olympics, I think, are supposed to be going on until like August 11th. Okay, so it's still like another 2 weeks away almost. And they're going to be having to deal with this repeatedly. So we'll talk about these phone lines being cut in France. That just came out today. We've also got lots of other information. Germany's largest chemical plant, BASF in Ludwigshafen, I think is how you say it. There was an explosion there as well. We've got another attack on critical infrastructure in Germany as well. Another railway line being sabotaged also. Cable installations being set on fire. Same thing happening in Germany. Finland as well. There's a telecom tower that was taken down for communications. So just there's lots and lots of sabotage happening that's not even being widely reported. And we're going to talk about this. But I feel like all this has to do with this right here. Okay, we talked about this on July 1st. I did a whole update video, and in my opinion, this is probably one of the biggest videos I have ever put out in terms of news and major threats across Europe. Okay, it says here US bases in Europe go to higher state of alert. Okay, we talked about this on July 1st. All the US bases in Europe were on a very high state of readiness for about 2 or 3 days around this time period due to there was threats of terrorism, okay, at terrorist attacks at bases. Now that never happened, but now look at what's happening just not even a month later, okay? And typically what I have seen in the past, at least me personally, I have seen that anytime reports like this come out, nothing ever happens around the time that is being indicated when they say we're going on readiness for 3 days. Nothing happens during that time. But then usually a few weeks later, a month later, that's when we start to see major attacks happening. Now, they're not happening at US bases, but sabotage acts happening in Europe. Many of the fingers are being pointed towards Iran, pointed towards Russia. Okay, so I don't know if the French and Germany and all these countries that are being attacked by these sabotage events, if they're going to try to figure out where these are coming from or maybe try to point the blame somewhere. But I just wanted to share that information because this is happening right after we just talked about that not even a month ago. So let me get into this here on Gizmodo. It says Olympic sabotage continues. Someone cut French phone lines overnight as if hosting the Summer Olympics wasn't hard enough. I know, right? 5 telecom stations in France were hit on Sunday night in an attack that shut down some services. French authorities said the attacks looked like sabotage. It was an operation that was prepared, the general director of the French Telecoms Federation, Romain Bonifant, told Reuters. If it wasn't people who worked for us, it was people who had information. French regulators said the cuts only affected 11,000 people. Under my supervision, the Center for Defense Electronic Communications cooperates with operators until communications and services are fully restored. Marina Ferrari, France's Minister for Digital Transition and Telecommunications said on X, I condemn in the strongest terms these cowardly and irresponsible acts. Thank you to the teams mobilized this morning to carry out repairs and restore damaged sites to service. The attack happened during the Olympics and followed a similar attack on France's high-speed rail system that occurred ahead of the opening ceremony. In that attack, someone set fire to 3 electrical and signal boxes that operate various bits of the country's high-speed rail network. Early reports indicated that French authorities had disrupted additional similar attacks. It's not clear if the attacks on the railway line and the telephone systems are connected, but French law enforcement has declined to comment either way, but both attacks are being handled by France's Organized Crime Office and Anti-Terrorist Task Force. I mean, obviously they're connected if they're both sabotage events, at least that's how I see it. Law enforcement might not say who it thinks is behind the attacks, but politicians don't have the same problem. We have identified profiles of several people. Interior Minister Gerald Darmanin, said in an interview on France 2, it's traditionally the way far left groups act. Okay, so they're blaming this on far left groups of these sabotage events. While news broke of the telecommunication attacks, French law enforcement announced it had detained a suspect connected to this train sabotage. According to the AFP, the man had pliers, keys to railway equipment, and far-left political literature. So obviously this is somebody that has access to the critical infrastructure of these railway systems and these railway lines and all these different things, communications. Is somebody that has to have extensive knowledge to carry out these attacks, because they obviously have to know what they're doing and what to strike or go after to take systems down, right? You'd obviously have to have that information, at least insider knowledge, even if you're not the one, even if you're the one doing it, but you don't have to have the knowledge, you must have gotten knowledge from somebody on the inside that understands how these systems work. So let me show you a couple more things that I'm noticing that's happening all throughout the world as well. From Vicegrad24, breaking, major explosion at Germany's largest chemical plant, BASF, in Ludwigshafen. 14 people wounded. Okay, check this out. This just came out today from Vicegrad24, an explosion in Germany. Take a look.
Jetzigen Zeitpunkt noch keine Erkenntnisse vor. Die BASF-Werksfeuerwehr hat Ermittlungen übernommen. Die Feuerwehr hatte den Brand schnell unter Kontrolle, ist allerdings jetzt noch mit Nachlöschexplosion liegen zum jetzigen.
Okay, so obviously they're speaking in German, so we don't know exactly what they're saying, but clearly some sort of attack here on the, or explosion, excuse me, not an attack, because we don't know whether this is an attack yet, but an explosion here at this major chemical plant, and again, major chemical plant in Germany, one of the largest, okay? So we're starting to see a lot of this stuff, explosions, sabotage events, things like that happening across Europe. And again, does this tie to the article that I first originally showed you guys at the beginning of this video? I have no idea if it does, but we're starting to see lots of this happening throughout Europe. And who knows, is this an event to try to point the fingers at Russia or Iran to start some sort of major war? If maybe in the end they can pinpoint who this came from, or at least attempt to pinpoint, who knows what's going on here. But I want to show you a couple other things. Again, from Vicegrad24, this came out again today. Breaking, another attack against critical infrastructure in Europe. German police announced that the railway line between Bremen and Hamburg have been sabotaged. 2 cable installations were set on fire in an act of sabotage. So same exact thing like we saw in France, but now we're seeing this happening in Germany. Okay, cable installations set on fire and being destroyed. And these are important cables that help. Apparently, they help with the person driving the train for these trains to even be functional. Okay, and obviously, if these things get damaged, then now these railways become affected by this. So we're not only seeing this in France, but now we're seeing this happening in Germany. So this is some sort of coordinated effort happening throughout multiple countries. And clearly, as well, to me, if this same type of sabotage event is happening in France, this is just me thinking out loud, by the way. If this is supposed to be disrupting the Paris Olympics, the Olympics are not in Germany. So why is Germany seeing these attacks as well? Is this some sort of coordinated event from the outside that has nothing to do with the Paris Olympics? Just maybe the Paris Olympics were the initiation of the event to start happening, so this can happen throughout Europe? Because not only is it happening in Germany, but take a look at this as well. Vicegrad24 again, breaking. This also came out today. Attack against critical infrastructure in Finland. Also in Finland, guys. Not Germany, not France, but in Finland. Now, Finland is a NATO member on the border of Russia. Okay, and it says here unknown attackers have toppled a 50-meter high telecom tower in, I don't know if I'm going to say that right, Janakala, by cutting through thick metal cables holding it in place. Later, a 110 I don't know, that's kilowatt or what that is, kV. Don't really know too much about electrical stuff, but power line structure was also found destroyed in the same area. Okay, if you guys know the answer to this, share that down below. That way I can be informed of that. But a power line structure also found destroyed. Okay, so power lines being destroyed. Look at this. This whole telecom tower knocked to the ground. Okay, destroyed, knocked to the ground. Here's another photo here as well. Okay, so lots and lots of sabotage events happening all throughout Europe right now, especially today. This was a lot of information just coming out today. France getting hit with their telecommunications going down. Finland telecommunications going down. Germany railways being attacked, and then that explosion at the chemical plant. Okay, the BASF chemical plant. So is this all coordinated? It definitely seems like it could be, considering these are all happening at the same time. And a lot of this happens to be telecommunications and transportation. So definitely a coordinated sabotage attack is what this is appearing to me to look like. Finally, I want to show you this here too from Benny Johnson. So this is what he posted on July 27, just 2 days ago, when these reports of these power outages happening in Paris. It says here, massive power outage hits Paris. One of the only things in light. These, I don't know if I'm going to say this right either. Sacre Coeur Church. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. Excuse me again. But yeah, these were the two pictures that were shared by him as well. So we can see complete blackouts here in Paris, but the church is still well lit. Okay, take a look at that. So that's very interesting. Is this coordinated by certain people that are trying to send a message? Or is this the government doing this? Who knows what this is really, what this is happening, or who's doing this, what's happening over here. But very interesting news nonetheless that I wanted to share with you guys. And there's lots of information coming out on this today, and I'm sure we're going to continue to see this maybe throughout the rest of the Olympics happening for the next like 2 weeks. But regardless, this is very strange that we're seeing this. And prior to this, I definitely was reporting lots of run up to the fact that potentially Russia or some other countries that are enemies to the West could start creating sabotage attack events throughout Europe. Now we're seeing that. So you let me know what you think down below. I'm just kind of putting my thoughts together. Those are just my opinions. But share what you think down below. What's going on over here in Europe? Share your thoughts, concerns, and opinions down in the comment section. That's going to be it for this update. If you got something out of this, please smash that like button. Also, if you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing down below. Hit the notification bell. That way YouTube can notify you. And with that, hope y'all have a great day. Everybody take care and God bless. And we'll see you in the next one.